Stop complaining.
I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Gilligan get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Yeah. Got them lions in the building. Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. Why you lying to the children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know they no contest. Yahuwah, he do the best. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to thought. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing all with big manodas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lord, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he forest. He's running to the hills like a Philistine. G-Hawk hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the ratchet team. JJ 7000 to the bait lead. I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-Time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Mito got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, arms open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as a realist, yeah. Death by cop, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. Why you lying to them children? Yeah. RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I be there. Yeah. Man, they know they no contest. Yeah. Yahuwah, he do the best. Wow, what's that? Why didn't take it over? Number one debate league, you heard me? When it's up, it's stuck. I'm setting on everything, nigga. Metaphorically, of course.
Well, all right. Once again, putting it down for you and yours. This is another episode of The Lion's Den, the segment called The Conversation Continues. And boy, you all out there, you just had one doozy of a conversation on is the Lord in Christ the one and the same entity? Well, the conversation continues and we welcome you. And we are your host. That is Yeshaya Dodd, JT Raw, myself, Brother Malachi, Big Baby Hebrew, and of course, the seventh answer, who brings completion to the trio that we now have going on, Sister Karima. And we want to thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. And you're going to learn something before it's said and done. Okay, and we give honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow, as we all strive to be moral men and women in this, empire called America. Now, when you roll with the Lion's Den, you know you're going to be rolling with what? The 7 eyes. Could we come with what? Intelligence, integrity, influence, independence, insight, and information. Also, when you roll with the Lions Den, you're rolling with the pride. Righteous pride, though. Because there's two types of pride. There's pride in evil and there's pride in good. We roll with the good pride because we're PRIDE, permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. And of course, you know, the Lions Den, we're also what? Anti-coon. We're one of the many adherents to the anti-coon movement. Okay? And what's a coon? A complete, obvious, obedient, yes, a boss, ninja. We don't do that here. There's no coon in here. Also, we're the home of point and counterpoint. Sometimes we may not always agree and see eye to eye. So we go point, counterpoint, not debate, or we try to prove each other wrong or anything. No, we do a point, counterpoint, wherein if we see something differently, we'll lay it out and we'll leave it up to you, the viewer and listener, to make your decision on what side you want to vibe, click, and politic with. And of course, here on The Conversation Continues, we bring what? Truthality to you. So, you know, you got reality TV, but we bring truthality. Okay, we deal with truthality, nothing but the facts. And what's the facts, y'all? That's FACTS. Frequently accurate, correct truths. We shy away as best we can from anything that we can't prove, and we deal with directly what we can prove. And sometimes, if we deal with things on a speculative basis, we'll let you know, because we also are advocates of what? Freedom of speech, but responsible speech. And what is the number one rule that governs the freedom of speech? Think before you speak. Give careful consideration of what it is you say before you say it. And that's what we do here. And of course, last but not least, all right, we also want you to understand that Yeshaya, Sister Karima, the seventh answer, and myself, Brother Malachi, we are very compassionate souls. We're very loving. And we understand that there are many of you out there that have a phobia, that you can't handle truth, reality, and the facts. And so we want to extend to any of you who have truth phobia, reality phobia, a fact phobia, we want to extend to you our deepest sympathies, because unapologetically but respectfully, we are not going to compromise any of those. So if you can't handle the truth, if you can't handle the facts, if you can't deal with reality, hang up now. You can leave. You're free to leave. But if you can handle all that, stay, because we also ask here in the Lion's Den, aren't you tired of being lied to? Well, welcome. And now I'm going to conclude by saying this here, right? One of the house rules, the main house rule, because all these are rules, but the main house rule when you come in here, set forth by another lioness, I Am Manna, a long time ago. When you come into the Lion's Den, wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself. Now, we're going to get into the show, okay? Normally, I would sign off and pass it off to the captain of the plane here, Brother Yeshaya, but the co-pilot, that being myself. You know, I've been cleared by Sister Karima that we're ready for takeoff. So I'm going to talk about what's on our mind, okay? And so, Yeshaya, you know, the Lord has a way. You know, he gives everybody their gifts. This brother here, he has this knack for coming up with these very colorful show titles. It took me a minute to be able to even deal with this and talk about this and keep a straight face without laughing. You know, so we're dealing with from Hollywood to Zestywood. What are we talking about tonight? We're going to talk about the fact that, listen, there is a serious dragnet all over the planet Earth. We know that there's a serious, severe, satanic dragnet all over the earth. But we're going to talk about one of the chief bastions that pushes on this evil imagery and the seducing of people's minds here in what we call the entertainment field. And so, what inspired the brother to come up with that very colorful title? It's been in the news, you all. We all heard it around the world that Denzel Washington, one of our, most gifted and talented actors, and matter of fact, one of the second, or no, one of my top actors, all-time favorite, Denzel Washington, and the other one being an actor named Gary Oldman. If you don't know who Gary Oldman is, you've seen Gary Oldman as the Commissioner Gordon in the three installments of Christian Bale, The Dark Knight, Batman, Gary Oldman, Dracula, and a few other movies that are very colorful. True Romance. This dude, between him and Denzel Washington, they can do anything and become anybody. When we're talking about, what inspired the brother to come up with this title is our brother Denzel Washington, who's currently featured in this Gladiator 2 movie. And all last week it was the buzz, all claim I've heard around the world that in this movie he supposedly, allegedly kissed full on a man in the movie, but for some reason that scene was cut from the movie because they feel that the world's not ready. Now, we know that Hollywood is dealing with a whole, in the entertainment field in this country in particular, all right, is dealing with a whole lot of sinister and undercurrents out here. And there are many people who were taken aback and up in arms about Denzel Washington. Oh, how could he? How could he? Oh, he's too old. He's been for so long in the game, and he has played some of the most colorful and poignant characters, from Malcolm X, Reuben Hurricane Carter. I know, and yeah, okay, granted, he was given an Oscar for his very evil and woefully irredeemable psychopath Alonzo Harris in Training Day. That why is it now that Denzel Washington, is he entering the butt broken, effeminizing the black male imagery that we all so much hate in Hollywood? Did not Denzel. Now I'm gonna say this here. I'm of the opinion until I see it, then I'll believe it. Because sometimes there are certain things that are said and done just to trigger people to get curious. I personally believe this is like a publicity stunt. It was done just to generate people to come and see the movie as a whole. Because the way I look at it, how you gonna tell us that, oh, well, Denzel kissing a man, well, we cut it because we don't think the world's ready for it? What the hell? We got shows on TV that's showing all kinds of graphic, basically porn. Okay, do I gotta go to so much so it's to the point now I can't even watch this stuff, because as I strive to be a moral man, and strive to keep myself away from evil and bad imagery. Power, the Power series. We had Empire with Jussie Smollett, however you pronounce his name. and all the homoerotica, men kissing on that show, graphic as it was. And then this other show that comes on BET, this dude who calls himself Little Murder or whatever, and his, out here gallivanting, waking up in bed with men and the whole. Now, come on, man. So we now hear Denzel Washington, but come on, y'all. Let's just keep it 1,000. All right. We understand that for the longest, Hollywood, the entertainment field as a whole, is based upon and built upon the projection of what? Pretend or art imitating life. Denzel Washington is an actor in the end all and be all. Okay? I don't know what his system of belief may be. But if we're talking about him portraying a Roman, a person of Rome in that whole genre and in that whole particular time period, it wouldn't shock me if if finally he succumbed to artistic expression or artistic licensing, which is the fuel and the guiding force to all endeavors of creativity. And he kissed a man. Like I said, until I see it or director's cut or whatever, I don't believe it. I just believe it's, a publicity, but I'm just saying. I know everyone is all up in arms, especially now with the whole issue concerning Sean Combs, better known as Puffy Diddy, and his current incarnation, Brother Love, who, as you know, is going through a whole lot of, legal matters and issues, along with, R. Kelly and so many others. But where am I going with all that? Well, where we're going tonight on this segment, as the conversation continues, we're going to address the origin, the history of Hollywood. We're going to address all the things you're hearing and seeing, and all these things that are coming out. You got Jaguar Wright. You have some very vocal voices out there over the years that have been talking about and bringing out and exposing things that we've heard throughout the years, rumors, all right? And they have been going roughshod. Jaguar Wright, actor Orlando Brown, former child actor Orlando Brown. Before them, you had actor Todd Bridges, Corey Feldman, the late Corey Haim, and so many other notable celebrities who have been exposing what goes on in this Hollywood, or we call Zestywood, or Zestywood industry. We understand that we have this gay agenda, all right? And again, we want to make sure that we understand this here, that we're not here to attack anyone about their sexual preference, how they choose to live their life. All right, that's not what we're here to do. And we're not going to do that. But what we also are not going to do is allow anyone to attack us on how we choose to live our life, as we strive to live our lives according to the laws and the commandments of the Holy Bible. Okay? But what we are going to do is be able to address and talk about what's happening, why it's happening, and if those of us who strive to be moral men and women, what we must do to combat these things and brace ourselves to walk away from this stuff. Because, hey, it all boils down to choice. But again, we have to understand why all these things are happening. Why is it that Hollywood absolute mission, along with other areas, political, social, that this effeminizing of black male, the black male image in particular. Why is this been such a driving force? Well, this goes back ages ago, before you and I were even born. This thing was being put in play, or while some of y'all were born, this has been in play. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna run a series of videos and everything else. But before I do that, right, all I want to say is this here, right? The Lord told us that in these last days and times that we're living in, this particular empire and world, why things are gonna come, that all things are gonna be revealed. And so we're told in the book of Ephesians, the 6th chapter, verses 11 through 12, it tells us that all of us who strive to be moral men and women and adhere to the Bible, because see, I understand that there are a great many of you out there who don't believe in the Bible, who walked away from the scriptures. Because you know what? Because of so much bad misrepresentation of hypocrites, kooks, and crazies, wolves in sheep clothing, who have done a absolute desecration of the word, that a great many people's faith have been destroyed. But still, for those of us who hanging on and still strive and are able to sift past anyone else's misrepresentation and make sure that we strive to be the proper representation, well, we're told put on the whole armor of the Lord. Okay? And when you read on, it tells you, because we must prepare ourselves, embrace ourselves against the wiles of the devil. Now, the word wile means trickery. It means underhandedness. That's why you have, the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes character, Wile E. Coyote. Well, Satan he's wily. And one thing about the devil, that one of his chief ways of operating is to make evil seem right. And how do you make evil seem right? Well, I think it was either Sprite or Mountain Dew. They used to have a campaign slogan some years ago: image is everything. And so, through imagery, through the manipulation of our sensual senses, all right, because we're as human beings, we are always sensual first and foremost, and not just sensual pertaining to the context of, intimacy and sexuality, but sensual also in the area of anything that stokes our pleasure. What we like to eat, what we like to listen to, what we like to get into, all right? All these deal with the area of sensuality. So image is everything. And the Bible warns us that there will come a time where the devil will transform into an angel of light. So what better way to reach the masses, to seduce people, is through your sensual senses, what you see, which now evokes what you hear, which goes into the evoking of what you feel. All right. And now, throughout the last 35 to 40 years, we have been gradually, because when Satan operates, he doesn't operate where he throws something at you immediately. He's subtle. He's cool with it. And over the last 35 to 40 years, we have seen the gradual changing of the imagery and television in movies, where so much so what was called blue movies, porno, as far as pornography, blue movies, and you had to sneak and see those, sneak and read, certain material that used to be out there. But now, through gradual and subtle and smooth ways and operations, we, for the most part, have now been bombarded. Our children, we are being bombarded with the normalizing of sexual imagery to the point where it's accepted. It is looked forward to, like real color, graphic. Nothing left to your imagination. But look how long it took. I'm gonna get at Tyler Perry, who I've always been leery of this dude. He started off where he would have messages in his movies and his imagery about family value and wholesomeness. I get that part, but I couldn't get past the part that in all that preaching he was trying to come with, he violating Deuteronomy 22:5 in the Bible, where it tells you that a man should not put on a woman's garment, what she wears, dresses, skirts, makeup, lipstick, and neither shall a woman put on what pertains to, the word pertaining meaning belongs in the dress code of a man. But over the years, look at the direction Tyler Perry and his production company and all that he gives you now has gone. Bro, I ain't even got to tell you the name of the shows. Since I'm not gonna give no free advertisement, but some of you out there, if you still can watch and stomach watching BET, bad entertainment television, if you can stomach watching it, you know what I'm talking about. Like what the hell's on Tyler Perry's mind? All right, so the Bible, that's why the Bible tells us, put on the whole armor of the Lord, that you may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. Hell, I will not lie and say that there are times I have to catch myself and not getting caught up in watching this stuff that's on. Hey, like any man, I appreciate the beauty of a woman. I got no problem saying it. Over the years, I appreciate it a little too much. But now when you're striving to be right and live right and do right, man, you got to shut the TV down. You have to be careful what you got to just be absolutely careful, because you can get sucked in, and I'm not using that in no ambiguous manner, and no pun is intended. You can get sucked in before you know it, if you're not careful. All right, so yeah, that's why we're talking about this tonight. So what we're gonna do, right? I'm gonna make a presentation on this here tonight with videos, okay? And what I'm gonna do is gradually show you why it's imperative, brothers and sisters, that you be careful what you watch now. You monitor what your children are watching, because again, we're in a battle for our lives. It's clear you have what is called the Rainbow Mafia, along with other mafias out here, are looking to seduce and draw people in these dark and evil times. As we now see the divine paradigm shifting still, these kooks and crazies and freaks out here are not going to stop. They're not going to stop until the bitter end. And they're looking to take as many people the hell with them. All right? So, Sister Karima, what I want to do first, right, is I want to draw up the Darth Perry video. If you got that in the what I sent to you, I want to draw up Darth Perry. See, for my black listeners, all right, I'm gonna, I make note, we're not racist here. We're not bigoted racist. And we welcome any and everyone to watch this format. But for my black listeners in particular, to give you an absolute idea on why this whole pushing of the feminizing of black men, the masculinizing of black women, the whole disruption of what we see, what we hear, where it came from, where it stemmed from. Why do we have, why is it that as far as our entertainment is concerned, things are just backwards and twisted all out? Well, we're going to show you. Because see, one thing we also adhere to biblically is the book of First Thessalonians 5, no, 2 Thessalonians 5 and 21, which tells us to prove all things. So we come here ready to prove everything that we say. All right? I'm going to show you a variety of different videos, and some of them, let me put this out there right now, for all you parents who may have your children listening to this presentation, some of them may have contain colorful language. There's a Richard Pryor clip I'm going to use. It's going to have, it may be colorful. We're going to do what we can to censor as best we can, but we're going to give you fair warning in advance, because as you know, here we strive to understand that we have children listening, young people listening, and what we want to show beyond all shadow of doubt, that we can conduct ourselves in an orderly manner. We can use proper language. All right, because sometimes, you Shy Dog and myself, we tend to get a little colorful, but we're cutting down. We're cutting down on that in the spirit of our predecessors, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, and so many others who used to have symposiums and speak publicly, and you never heard them use colorful language. James Baldwin. They had intense conversations, disputes, debates, if you will, but they never used colorful and spicy language. So we strive to do that here as well. Education is key. All right. So, like I said, in the spirit of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Ralph Bunche, Charles White, even if I didn't agree with some of these gentlemen's philosophies and beliefs, still, the way they conducted themselves and the way they spoke, I patterned myself after them unapologetically. So if you have, you went Richard Pryor, huh? Well, I actually wanted the Darth Perry. I want to say Rich for a little bit later, if you don't mind, Karima.
Okay, which one is that? Because I can't just go off of the link. No, identify which one
Oh,
is it.
remember the show I did? It's just 22 minutes long. It's Darth Perry. Let me see. Okay, I don't have if I was to go out, I would lose this link. I thought it would show, but it was, remember the
No,
gentleman I did some,
it just come up
you
as
got,
link that I got right now.
oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't know which
Well,
video it is, so I gotta go through them. Give me a minute. Keep talking.
all right, well, you know what? How about this then? Let's run Richard Pryor. It's only a minute or so. So I'm going somewhere with this, but be warned, Paul, for parental guidance. Because sometimes we don't want to censor, but Rich, in some instances, how he gave it up. So let's run this Richard Pryor video, and I can just build off this, okay? Let's run it. And the reason I'm going to say run this Richard Pryor, because see, Richard had a way. He told jokes, but we all know that sometimes a joke can contain a very brutal, in-your-face truth.
It's really been a pleasure working with you because we work together many years ago on the Red Fox show. We started writing together, and we walked into the office with a white man, and Paul didn't. What he did was sucked his dick. But I must say, Paul had a sense of humor. He didn't let him come in his mouth.
Now, see, before we were born, or some of y'all were already born, or when we were kids, a lot of the stuff I was listening to, it went over our heads. But this is the late Richard Pryor getting at and roasting the late comedian Paul Mooney. And for those of you who may not know, they did get their start, most notably writing for Sanford and Son, which starred comedian Red Fox and Demond Wilson, who was known as Lamont. But did you hear what Richard Pryor was saying? See, long before there was Diddy, long before R. Kelly, there was things going on in that time frame. See, you think that was a joke? It was a celebrity roast, but do you think Richard Pryor was joking? For some of y'all that came up in that time frame, do you see why Richard Pryor was always high and always drugged up? Because he knows what he did. He knows what they got caught up in. He knows what they went into to get where they were. See, understand this here. To make it in that industry, to make it in that zone, there's a price you have to pay. See, this is why Christ said in the book of Matthew 16:26, in the book of Mark 8:36, as Matthew and Mark gave their accounts of what Christ was saying in many of his ministries. Now you see why Christ laid out the whole issue of what profited a man to gain the world, to gain money, to gain fame, to gain the spices of life, just to lose your soul. And in losing your soul, we're talking about your integrity, your virtue, okay, which are the backbones of honor. What good is that? Okay? So, I laid that out as the groundwork, but what we're going to do now is go back in the time, in the summer of 1978. And I want you to understand and hear clearly, and what I'm going to do is along the way, I'm going to stop it and break down and analyze what this gentleman named Dr. Perry. Dr. Perry was a one-time spy. He worked for the FBI, I think it was. He was one of the pinnacle reasons why the Black Panther Party and other black groups and self-determination groups failed, because he was a worm. But in the process of time, he saw the error of his ways and wanted to try to make things right. But then again, you can't make what he did right. But here, and we're going to break it down piece by piece as to why you see what's going on today when it comes to black entertainment, black entertainers, and what they've done. All right, Karima, take it away.
Worked as an informer for the FBI during the 1960s. His name is Dothard Perry, also known as Ed Riggs, also known as Bill Perry, also known as Othello.
How were you paid? The pay was always in cash. Cash, and you would sign a card.
It would go like this. A rendezvous or a drop-off point would be picked out either by yourself or the agent. You would meet the agent there, and usually it would be in a vehicle. You get in the vehicle, he would hand you the money. He would tell you first to count the money. He would tell you the amount while you counted it. If the amount was there, he would then bring out a card. On that card would be for the week of such and such. In other words, the week was dated. So-and-so has been paid the amount of. Then you would sign the card, and then the agent would sign the card. The reason for this is that if all of a sudden the IRS became very interested about where you were getting all this extra money from, you could always tell them to go back to the Bureau, and the Bureau would have your cards on file.
I see. Were there such things as bonuses?
One of the great responsibilities that we have is to...
Oh, yes.
What were they paid for?
Bonuses were paid for, suppose while you were meeting with, or you were at a meeting with Bobby Seals, Chulai of the Red Army happened to come to the meeting too, which is something which would be a new development. That's bonus time.
In other words, a hot piece of information.
Hot piece, very hot piece.
Did you ever suffer pangs of conscience?
Quite a few times. Quite a few times. I still suffer pains of conscience. I suffer from the fact that a lot of people trusted me and I misused that trust. I suffer from the fact that a lot of information that I gave out was the undoing of certain groups or certain people. I suffer from the fact that I'm on the run constantly. I have no real life to speak of.
You have no family life, really? You have a wife?
No, I don't have a wife. I do have a child. I can't see her that often. I have to stay away from them because once I come around, the Bureau shows up and harassment starts. I have very few close personal friends, no one to really confide in. It's like being on the outside of a glass jar and everything is happening inside the jar, but you're on the outside. You can see it happening, but you can't participate.
Why have you decided to talk to me?
For the simple reason, I think this information should be getting out, should be put out to the public. I think not only Black people, but everyone should become aware of what your so-called law enforcement agencies do to so-called enforce the law. Because between you, myself, and the audience, I've seen more felons in law enforcement than I have in prison.
Stop for a second,
Many
Karima.
would say, well, look, you yourself just
If you're there, stop it. Now, did you just hear what he said, you are? For years, you had Malcolm X that would tell you that anytime you go into a community or place and you see crime is through the roof, but you have a heavy police presence, heavy law enforcement presence, but crime is through the roof, it's the police that's doing it's the law enforcement, it's the police committing the crimes.
That's what I say about Chicago. Most of the crimes that's being committed, I believe, is the police.
Okay, you're getting ahead of this of the show, Kareem. I'm actually gonna go there, but I want y'all to pay. Now we're getting ready to go into the nitty gritty. Now you hear he's saying he was on the run at the time of the making of this presentation. He laid out and emphasized not only Black folks should hear what he getting ready to drop, but everybody gonna hear should hear this. So listen carefully and listen close, y'all. Here we go. Run it, Karima.
And the reason why I say that is it's always the a van and the artillery that they use, and it's always unmasked. Even though they got a whole bunch of cameras, it's always the same kind of like mo of the suspect, and the suspect never get caught, but it's always the same and the same kind of artillery. It seems like police like to be in vans. I don't know. Anyways,
Through saying that the BLA was involved in criminal activity. What's wrong with wanting to put them in prison? How would you answer them?
I would answer him in this way. First off, we have to understand why they did what they did. But I'm not even gonna go off into that psychological hoo-ha. What I'm gonna say is, when you become just as bad as the people that you go after, then there's nothing gained and a whole lot lost.
Running a creator business is overwhelming. Constant content creation, community.
You also were active in the infiltration of many cultural groups. Before we go into that step by step, how much research and study did the FBI engage in of Black culture in the late 60s?
A great amount.
Give me an idea.
From the thing is, I can. They have a file on every type of magazine that blacks read. They have a file on the music, dance, theater, actors, comedians, you name it, man.
And they would actually study these.
Stop,
Yes,
Karima.
definitely.
Stop right
What
there.
did they do with?
Brothers and sisters, do you hear what this man just said?
and that's what I
See,
was saying with sound control. Remember when I was bringing up the issue with sound control, how they're using the celebrities, this court
yeah.
TV? I said the new reality TV is the same as what they've been doing, but go ahead.
But brothers and sisters, did you hear what this man just said? Now, this was put out in 1978. This man was coming clean, but unfortunately, and I'm not condemning our father and mother generation, our grandparents, they weren't listening. But now, for you to understand why you see the proliferation and the vile and disgusting and just downright honorary imagery, what we listen to today, 40 plus 45 to 50 years ago, he letting you know that the FBI was studying us. He indicated that he said our arts, our culture, actors, what we listen to, why we listen to it. So what we are being bombarded with today was a diabolical and demonic plan, and not by accident, but by grand design. See, a lot of these white men felt some kind of way when you had Barry White, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, and Stevie Wonder, even Michael Jackson. They felt some kind of way when you had the stylistics, the 3 Degree, and so many other black male groups in particular, the OJs, who, when they were singing these songs of love, passion, from Rick James on, a lot of white women were getting caught up in that dragnet. Okay? They felt some kind of way about the fact that our reproduction and birth rates were going through the roof behind that kind of beautiful and creative music that was being put forth from Smokey Robinson and so many other wonderful musicians of the time, the Manhattans and the Whispers. This is what, so they were putting into play already a ways and means to disrupt and destroy. And let's look at it today. Throughout the last 35 years or so, you've seen where our music is, it's not even music anymore. in today's time. But run the video, Kareem. Let's run it.
Music.
To understand the people, you have to understand the culture. To infiltrate, you have to understand. You had a lot of so-called white liberals that were infiltrating the so-called black groups using the information that they had gathered from the studies of blacks.
You mean just to understand the behavior pattern of our people?
Oh yeah, I can. Will Heaton could name out some jams of Miles Davis that I hadn't even heard of. He could name off some books that I hadn't even read pertaining to black culture.
Do you ever see agents actually studying the music of?
Yes. I've seen them going over even video portion of cultural events.
Someone just ordered this coat from me, and Shippo's only charging me $5.
I'm sorry about the commercials, y'all.
The understanding, like when, okay, you have an organization like Leroy Jones Black House. You remember that? Okay, Leroy Jones's place, which was done on the thing of tribal.
That's not you. It's YouTube. They trying to put these little commercials up in there trying to copyright, because every time the commercial come and they know I can't skip it, they give me a copyright claim. What kind of crazy stuff is that? But anyways, go ahead.
Tribalism. That's where I first heard the word Kintu, Mantu, Huntu, Hintu. These words of the African continuum. I learned that from an agent. He ran it down to me. They make in-depth studies of the personalities of the people they're dealing with too, culturally. It always helps it's a thing of you can take their culture and use it against them.
How large would you say an extensive collection on our culture would you say the FBI has? Would you rate it as large as a particular library, like the Schomburg Library in Harlem? Or?
I would rate it better. And the fact is that they go into details that we probably would overlook. Will Heaton used to meet me in different places. Will Heaton, that was one of my supervising agents. There is a certain bar in the Los Angeles area where people into black cultural things met, and Will Heaton used to meet me there. And he would go into very long and tiring conversations with some very articulate brothers about culture, African culture and Afro-American culture.
Tell me about some of the cultural organizations that you infiltrated and what you did.
PASLA, Mafunde, Watts Writers Workshop, which they have.
The Watts Writers Workshop?
Yes. Watts Writers Workshop, which was one of the oldest established black writers workshop.
That place was burned down.
Yeah.
Stop for a second, Karima. Stop it.
The Bureau had it burned.
So you see, brothers and sisters, you see, this whole issue of the Black Boule, the Freemasonry, and all these things, they weren't at one time in the arts and science. They weren't always there. There was a Black Boule from the political standpoint. But now the FBI, now we know who did this. The Federal Bureau of Instigation. Okay? The Federal Bureau of Insidiousness. A fancy word for evil. Now you understand why this whole Boule and Illuminati and ritualistic masonry on a higher level, numerical level, crept into what we watch, what we see. They were studying us. They've been studying us for the longest. Okay, cooking with Billy. You know you wild, right? Just for the moment, you just threw me off. Why you gotta say Diddy in jail twerking for granola bars, bro? That just threw me off. Okay, let me get back on. Okay, get back on now. Yeah, you see, this was in play before we were born or while we were coming up. Now I ask you, for those of us who came out the Generation X, we saw how throughout the 80s, the current where it went from loving your woman, loving your family, being a man and loving, as that started gradually being replaced on the, we know money talk. It ain't about no romance without finance. You got brothers, oh, she's a slut, she's a hoe. And then when we had positive rap groups, when hip hop was about, it had colorful stories here and there. But when you had Public Enemy and so many other groups talking about fight the power, being in control, Bill go to school, learn, what happened? Just like that, starting from 1988 on, this demonic influence, and we're gonna have to call it what it is, man. NWA and so many other groups started coming out. Straight Outta Compton, Crazy Mother Lover. Hey, look, I cannot front the beats. And you started seeing how in hip hop and all these other songs, the hottest beats were always used with the most negative lyrics. And where it was about loving your black woman, loving and appreciating one another in our culture, now you call her every kind of bee, every kind of skank. To this day, the imagery, when you had women walking around, sisters walking around with Don Cornelius, with Soul Train, afros, proud to be black, fist in the air, brothers looking sharp, looking crisp. And it was about respect. You didn't have no MSG, no high fructose corn syrup. It was about pride and love. It gradually got pushed out, and now it's every kind of skank. You got black women. I can remember there was a time if you called a black woman, especially a black woman, the B word that sounded like itch, oh, it was gonna be a fight. Hair pulled back, Vaseline on the face, and windmilling, kick someone. What? You call me a itch? Well, now they gladly call themselves that. And like rapper KRS-One says, it's got to the point now you got white kids and everybody else calling themselves triggers. I won't use the word, you know the word. All right. And white, you got other cultures of women emulating the negative aspect of black women, the head turning and twisting and what's up, B? Yo. But it began way back. And now what's being pushed? You got Sexy Red and Ice Spice. Come on, man. And some of these no talent, can't rap worth a damn, being pushed down our children's throats today. These kids don't even know what real hip hop is. But it began back in our generation, though. And I'm not disrespecting these guys, but the Red Man and all these guys talking about shooting and killing. Cypress Hill, here is something that you can't understand. I could just kill a man. Look at that. Not love a man. And I'm talking about loving, being brotherhood and close. Look how the love and fight the power and fight. We're gonna work it out, brother. We're gonna be together to shoot a nigga, kill a nigga. I mean, I have to use it. I'm not using it for the sake of use. You know what I'm talking about. This is for educational purpose. You know the lyrical content, and look how it became that. F that B, later for that B, and now it's so bad with the way black women's image, black men's image. Look at these award shows. These last number of award shows, when I out of curiosity, I would go and check out BET. You got brothers wearing skirts and dresses and women looking like men, bruh. Do you not see throughout the years, right? When you had on TV in the 70s under what was called the black exploitation, but that's another show. But still, when you had Richard Roundtree as Shaft, Robert Hooks as the original Mr. T, Trouble Man, and all these other images of black men in power, Ron O'Neal, you had the Superfly, the drug dealer, whatever, but you had also other images of black men taking no prisoners. That image got shut down gradually, and the next thing you know, it's all about black men wearing a dress. He got to be effeminate. He got to be a girly man. Like I think back on even the movie The Revenge of the Nerds. Okay? With a black brother, him and being a nerd, he got to be the one that's gay. Did you peep? I just peeped everything. And it's just like now it's all out of control. You got brothers out here. You know, you had the late Michael K. Williams, Omar from The Wire. Omar, okay, look, I ain't gonna front. Omar was that dude I run with. I cannot lie. In the days of old, in my past life, I'm not sitting up here as Mr. Holy. Omar was that dude, but they just got to just gay him up. You see where I'm going with this, man? Yo, they just got to gay everybody up. Even in this television show involving Bumpy Johnson, where he hires a dude named Big D Buster, going around raping. What is this, man? That wasn't going on. You think Malcolm X would have really been friends with Bumpy Johnson if he was doing some outrageous garbage like that? Come on, stop. That's deliberate, and now you see where it's coming from, who did it, and why it was done. What Mr. Perry named, when he named all the groups he infiltrated from Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. What did all these aforementioned cities have in common? And why the FBI would want to rein in and control the culture and the music? They were the main hot spots that a lot of rebellion, black determination and rebellion came from. Black Panther Party. You had the Nation of Islam at the time. All these different groups that were out there. SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and so many others. That's why. So Karima, run the video.
Burnt down.
How do you know that?
I know because I participated. I did the arson.
You burned down the Watts Writers?
Yes.
Why did they want it to go?
At the time, funding had been cut to the workshop, had been cut out, but it looked like there was a possibility of a grant being given back to the workshop. And if there was no theater, there would be no grant.
How did you do it?
2 cans of kerosene, Purex bottle, gasoline, and a flare, highway flare.
Why didn't you use more sophisticated stuff?
Oh, no. You're never overly sophisticated. It's too obvious. This way you make it look like, maybe somebody in the neighborhood that got kicked out of theater at one time got mad and came and burned the damn theater up, that kind of thing.
But you were involved in this theater? I mean, didn't it get to you at all what you were?
Hey, man, that got to me a great deal. I love that theater. I built the stage.
You built the stage?
Oh, yeah. When I got to the workshop, the stage that had been, the original stage that had been built needed an extension on it. The original part of the stage was in terrible condition. They had no lighting system. I put the lighting system in myself. I put the stage in myself, and that was a stage, man. And that was a theater. It's a nice theater.
Who was the director of that workshop?
Harry Dolan.
Harry Dolan. Some very, very well-known artists supported that workshop, gave money to it.
Some very well-known artists came out of the Watts Writers Workshop. You know, Glenn Tubman, Yaphet Kotto, Sidney Poitier used to come down there and give a class. Sammy Davis Jr. used to come down there all the time. Quincy Jones used to come there and give music classes. We had our own 8-track studio setup for sound. We had our own sound room there.
Was part of your other activities and responsibilities to study the profiles of celebrities who were supportive of organizations?
Definitely, and especially, like I said, psychological backgrounds, weaknesses and strengths. Did he have a weakness for blondes? Did he have a weakness for money? Did he snort cocaine? Did he smoke marijuana?
Stop. You hear that, brothers and sisters? Do you hear? See, in order for them to corral many of these celebrities, black especially, now you see why. See, they find out what your strengths are and but most notably, what your weaknesses are. And if you don't have your spiritual game on point, if you don't have your moral game on point, and they find out about what you got going on behind the scenes that's, what you keep in the dark and try to keep hidden or controlled, no, they use it against you. They get you caught up. They send what you like. You think Curtis Mayfield, when he said, I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that in the alley, I'm your doctor when you need, have some coke, have some weed. You think that was just a song? He understood the depths of what was happening at the time and who was behind it and why they were doing it. So you want to know why many of these celebrities, when they get caught up and they can't speak out on certain things no more, or they started walking away from certain areas, or they promoted certain behavior, now you know why. They were being watched, they were being studied. And if you didn't have yourself together, hey, my man, let me talk to you for a second. I see you be going to that theater, you all for your people and your black folks, but check this out. I got these pictures of you with this little girl. I got these pictures of you. Oh, look at this, that's you, right? Now, if you don't do what we say do, we gonna let this be known. Now, what you gonna do? You heard what this guy said. That he built this theater, he built the stage, but yet he's the one they used to burn it. Why? Because he was caught up on some thievery and stealing, and he didn't want to go to prison. He feared going to prison. He didn't want to be locked up. And so he started working for him. Come on, this is so now you understand why you see a lot of these entertainers, why they go that demonic route. Okay. Well, white America, did they look, you want to be a star? Baby, you want to work for us? Brother, my man, my black man, you want to work for me? You want this movie part? This is why they started thinking about the most stankiest, nastiest, dirtiest, filthiest things that they were going to require you to do. How far are you willing to go? And now, today, do you think the whole issue with ghetto gaggers? I'm gonna go there. See, when I go deep. Ghetto gaggers, whore gaggers, from the pornography. You think that didn't go on? That's been happening. You heard what Richard Pryor said. Oh, yeah, me and Paul, we worked on the Sanford and Son, Red Fox, and we wrote for them and everything. Yeah, I walk in the office and Paul was blown. Yeah, that's been going on. When I finish this video clip, I want y'all to hear what Sanford and Son star Demond Wilson. We're gonna find that video for you. Demond Wilson, what he said. Now, run it, Karima. Go ahead.
They even get into, and that's one thing the Bureau loves is their sexual background. They have files and files on different blacks, not only celebrities, but a lot of others, sexual activity.
What would they do with this information?
Oh, that's used as a weakness.
So they would feed these weaknesses.
Yes.
Did you see that happen?
Oh, yes. Doc Holliday, who is one of the leaders of the BGF, Black Guerrilla Family, which is a prison gang in the California state prison system. Upon his release from prison, a certain sister made herself known to him at a nightclub, whereupon he moved in with her, and she picked up names, telephone numbers, information, that kind of thing. That lasted for a good 3.5 months.
Was this an unusual thing, or did this happen often?
No, that happens all the time.
Did you yourself get involved in doing that?
Yes.
Give me an example.
There was a gentleman that was on trial in Los Angeles that belonged to the BLA that had been busted in a southern state for a bank robbery, but was brought two other people to Los Angeles to stand.
When you're ready. Now, if you don't know what BLA stands, that's Black Liberation Army. Go ahead, Karima.
Trial for the machine gunning of a police officer in Los Angeles. I was supposed to worm my way into the affections of his sister, and whatever it took to get the information that I needed as far as what kind of defense they planned to use as to turn this information over to the federal prosecution.
Did you do it?
I got the information, and thank God I didn't have to go through with the actual thing of sexual activity.
What do you mean, thank God?
The sister was rather unappealing.
How did you justify to the organizations in which you had infiltrated yourself that you were living on an $800 a week stipend or on an $800 a week standard of living when most of them were living hand to mouth?
Well, hey, brother, I'm hustling, I mean, hey, man, sell a little of this on the side, a little of that on the side, I get over, that kind of thing. In other words, ain't nobody's business but mine where I get the money. So, everybody took it for granted that I was possibly doing a little dealing on the side, that kind of thing. Then also, everybody liked me for the simple reason that I would do things that I didn't have to do. I would go out of my way. Like Mafunde would have a pageant and they needed someone to do the sound setup for him.
Could you stop it for a second, Karima?
That.
Now, brothers and sisters, I want y'all to pay careful attention to when he was saying that, all right, when he would infiltrate certain groups and organizations or what have you, they would have to go to the extreme of even if it took laying down, seducing and sexually and getting involved. Now do you understand why? And some of these organizations, hey, listen, he thinks he's better than you. You're better than him, You should be the leader. You should be the head. Oh, well, wait, you're not happy with your husband? What your husband doing? I'll do what your man won't do. Now you understand this has been like when the Bible say that there's no new thing under the sun. Now you see where it's coming from. Who was the catalyst? The FBI, CIA. This is how deep this thing goes. This is how determined they are to stay in power and to make sure that we never rise again. When J. Edgar Hoover the head of the COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, when he was asked what does he fear more than anything, he said black unity. He fears black unity, y'all. That's what he said. He also said that as far as he's concerned, no black Messiah must ever be allowed to arise among the Negro people. So that's how deep they went. They went deep. And now you understand why today many black celebrities are compromised. They won't get involved in certain activities of helping your people and doing what's right by the people who got them there because they're bent over. They're compromised. And this is how it started. This is why it's so imperative now that we keep our moral fiber together as much as possible. Now you understand Hollywood, Zestywood, where it all stems from, why a lot of our black celebrities are so jacked up in the head. And others too. But I'm trying to focus on why our image in particular, they to this day perpetuate destroying. Go ahead, Kareem, run it.
Kind of thing. I was very well liked at one time in the community.
Would you say to American citizens that this situation of surveillance and infiltration continues to this day?
Oh, yes.
On the dimension that you experienced?
Probably much larger by now.
Larger?
Oh, yeah. Let me put it to you like this. Each year, everything gradually escalated up more and more. So I figure when I left, it didn't stop escalating. As they say, one monkey does not stop anybody's show.
You mentioned Sammy Davis Jr., who at one time, it was reported, gave money to the Black Panther Party, I believe. Were you ever assigned to look into that?
Yes, I was told to try to get as close to Mr. Davis or to anyone in his office as I could. I used to go up and have real chit-chat, chummy conversation with his personal secretary, Ann, at the 9000 building on Sunset. And I used to bring a Portapac video camera, and I used to go around and I would videotape the whole office.
You mean celebrities would be coming into his office and you'd film them freely?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they question that?
I'm from the Ross Writers Workshop. Yeah, right on, brother. You know, that kind of thing. No questions asked. Same thing with the NAACP Image Awards. You know, they were very interested in people like Sammy Davis Jr. There was another black in Los Angeles that they were very interested in because, not Los Angeles, but in Sacramento, Nathaniel Colley, who's attorney for the NAACP. And I know Nat. And they wanted information on him just for the simple reason that he's an attorney for the NAACP, which makes no sense to me, but must make a lot of sense to them because they use the information.
You've been called upon to testify in Washington. Before who?
Before the Senate committee. I was called first to testify before the church committee. And I did go to Washington, D.C. I did testify to those people. And I want to say right now that the committee was full of smack. They got loads and loads of information and didn't even use it, didn't release it. I had tapes that I offered to them in evidence against the Federal Bureau of Investigation with conversations of me and my supervising officer where he's telling me to obtain certain articles for him by stealing. Don't get fingerprints on it. We can really use that. Did you take the weapons over to such and such? The church's committee told me that they couldn't use the tapes because the tapes were gotten by illegal means.
What would you say about the composition of the committee panel that questioned you?
I can say that's for the birds too, because the same people that I was talking about were the same people on the panel with the church's committee.
What do you mean?
When I came in the room to be interviewed by the so-called people from the Churches Committee, the representatives from the Federal Bureau of Investigations were also in the room.
FBI agents were a member of the Church Committee panel.
They were there with the investigators for the Churches Committee asking questions just like the Churches Committee. And see, this is another thing that I find fault with, and this is another reason why I am not going to Washington, D.C., is that, again, I have been asked to come again for the second time. I'm not going again. For the simple reason that when I went up there with the idea that there were agencies investigating the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigating itself.
You're on the lam, almost. Do you have a sense that you're going to be arrested and go to prison?
Oh yeah, eventually. Eventually, when things come to a head, it has to. Has to be that way. No other way around it.
What would you say to citizens who sit and listen to what you've said and have a sense of frustration and helplessness?
There are some agents, the old line agents, that disagree with the tactics that were used during the so-called COINTEL period. But one thing I don't want us to jump off of is that people always talk about, they're talking about COINTEL now so heavily. I'm not talking about COINTEL. I'm talking about a thing called BD, which was better known as Black Death.
Did you know you could be entitled to a 5- or 6-figure payout if you were in a traffic collision within the past 2 years? Yes, even if you weren't the driver.
The Black Death was set up for a simple thing of infiltrating black organizations and black groups, whatever.
Where was this black desk, or were there a number of them?
There were a number of black desks, but the head black desk was in Washington, D.C., controlled by Sullivan. And
Was he black?
No.
Mm-hmm. And what was the function of the black desks all over the country? I guess there were dozens.
The function of the black desk was to monitor activity, social unrest, revolutionary groups, cultural groups, and such in the black community.
And feed it into this central desk.
And it still exists? As far as I know, yes.
We've seen a number of investigations into the assassination of Martin Luther King. We've seen an extended police trial of the assassination of Malcolm X. What you seem to say substantiates what many black people say out on the street, that government agents or agencies knew that these assassinations were brewing and either participated in them or allowed them to take place.
It would behoove black people, it would behoove all people, really, to question so-called the cut and dry one lone assassin theory. The Bureau and other intelligence agencies are very good at conspiracies. They are very good at setting people up to be killed. They are very good at making innuendos so the person will be killed.
City police don't know about because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the Black Muslim movement, over the Black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a cop, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down.
All right. That was a short version of that interview. But now, as you can see, brothers and sisters, like I said at the top of the show, when we make claims, we go out and we show and we prove and we come with the facts. Now you see what Jaguar Wright, Gene Deal. Now you see what Orlando Brown, actor Orlando Brown, you know, who we knew as 3J from the show Family Matters. And we also saw him as a little black kid in Major Pain. Now you see what Todd Bridges, the late Corey Haim, Corey Feldman and so many other child stars, what we say, where it came from, how it got down, and then why it is what it is today. See, we're not just saying this to just be saying it. We're saying it because it's the truth and it needs to be brought out. Now you understand why Diddy is what he is. Now how about that? Sean Combs, the R. Kellys. Now you understand why they are what they are and why they got caught up in this dragnet. They didn't just become that way. They were engineered and steered into that. And see, let's break it down. Let's get right to it, right? We're all given choices, okay? And in this game, nobody wants to be poor, okay? Being poor, look, it sucks, all right? It does. But in the same breath, though, what are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go for $1 to make money? And see, this is what they banked on. People being fearful of being poor. And this is the satanic and warped control mechanism. They came in, well, you heard what Mr. Perry said. They studied you. They would follow and see what made a person tick. And we all, unfortunately, as human creatures, are fighting some form of addiction. There are those of us who have a sex addiction. Even now, we may still fight and have to deal with the compulsive urges. Now, what is compulsive? Compulsive is when you do a thing, you know it's wrong, but it goes against your moral self, but the urge and the obsession is so strong on you, you can't help but get caught up in what you get caught up in. So some of us have sex addiction. Hence, you got the pornography and all the other kind of pedophilia and all kind of other demeaning and vicious ways in which our sensual senses are now titillated beyond our control if we're not careful. Now you understand why the imagery of sex and more sex and nudity is being pushed and crammed down your throat, both literally and figuratively. Now you understand where it stemmed from. Some of us, if you don't have a sexual addiction, you have a power addiction. Some of us are addicted to power and control. Now you understand where that stems from. Huh? Now you understand why you have all these different deviants who have entrenched themselves into the area of entertainment in Hollywood. Oh, you want this part? Well, what do you want to do for it? The casting couch was not only for women, but for men too. That's right. What do you want to do for it? Now you understand where it stemmed from. See, what we're doing here is we're uncovering the history, the days of way back. This is why the Lord said in Deuteronomy 32:7, remember the days of old. Don't ever forget where you're coming from, and don't ever forget your past. Ask, do your inquiring. And this is why we bring this forum to you. This is why we bring it to you live, pure, straight, with no chaser, to make you understand this was going on before some of y'all were born. But we paying attention. You want to know why? All these corporate mainstream media forms, they hate shows like The Lion's Den. The conversation continue. You want to know why? Because here it is. We are daring the day. We are uncovering the lies and picking away the lie and destroying the lies. Here we don't have no $1 million contracts. We don't have anything remotely close to what they have going on. But you know, we do have the power of the Lord. And in the book of 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, it tells you that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're not physical, but mighty through God. Through what? The using of truth. Information gathering, dissemination, how to spread it, how to walk it, how to talk it. Here we don't have any degrees of any kind, but yet our journalism is A+, because we have the truth. And when you have the truth, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can stop you. All right? And see, it take a lot of heart to come out here and do what we do, but we're going to do it because, as you can see, as Dr. Perry indicated, in Michigan Natural Living, you made a very interesting point that Mr. Perry was giving signs of who and what he was, and there were people out there who weren't paying attention. But you know what? I'm going to tell you why they weren't paying attention, Michigan, and why so many people got caught up in the dragnet. The last addiction that a great many people in human battle is booty, power, and then there's money. They were caught up in the money. You heard what he said, that he was getting weekly $800, which, according to my statistics here, in the 1960s going to the 70s, if you could get $800 weekly, you were rolling with about $6,508 in spending power. Damn. Wow. That's why he was taking care of people. Okay? He was putting out money. He was doling out the money. So there were those who were caught up in the money and the funding. They couldn't see who and what he was, because they were taking, you heard what he said, he was down for the cause, black brother. He was high rolling. See, when Ice-T made that song, well, you know what? No, there's a whole lot of cuts that were out there that broke the game down, but no, even Ice-T, and that didn't just pertain to drug dealing. It pertained to someone who liked living that life, who was out there willing to do everything to get what needed to be done. High rollers, a high rolling. Okay, this is why they didn't see him. But now, joining us, we have JT Raw, Yeshaya Dar. As you can see, Hollywood to Zestywood, my brother. You see, we've been dropping it. Kareem and I, we've been holding it down, but now you on the set as well. So welcome, brother, as the conversation continues. And what's on your mind, Yeshaya Dar?
Zestywood, man. I mean, there's a lot of foul stuff going on in Hollywood, man. People, they selling their souls for the fame and the fortune, man. They get big, they get paid. There's a bad course at the end of the road. A lot of people coming to the conclusion they wish they didn't make that move. Because it's a bad move. It's not a good move, man, because you're going to compromise all of yourself for some chicken change, man. Stuff that really don't mean anything. See, that world ain't real. That's why they call it, it's like it's fantasy. Movies, it's an escape from reality. That's why they make movies, TV shows. But when you walk outside every day in your house, you stepping into the real world and you seeing the real world, what's going on in the real world. And what you see in the movies It's not out there on the streets. So a lot of controversy going on about this Denzel movie, new movie. Denzel Washington is just made and it's out in the movie theaters called Gladiator 2, where he's so called from the rumor that he kissed a man in the mouth. And then it was retracted by the director, Ridley Scott. He said it never happened. So I don't know why Denzel said that if the director of the movie said it didn't happen. I don't know why he said it, but he said it anyway. But living that being a part of that world, man, lives are destroyed, man. P. Diddy is only doing what a lot of other people did to him. He had to give up the booty to get where he at. So now he doing the same thing that his predecessors did before him. He videotaping himself, doing all type of freaky acts, having parties, man, with people doing all type of freaky acts and recording it. Man, when I look at that world, man, and I wanted to be a part of that world when I was younger. I didn't know no damn better. I wanted to be an actor, but I'm glad I know what I know today. Because what they have done, what a lot of these actors and actresses have done to get where they are, hell no, I wouldn't do it. I ain't gonna do it. No way. Not me. But that's how people think. They'll compromise their morals in this damn world to get paid, to get something, to make it. But I'm not gonna do that. A lot of people on this planet they come on, they not gonna do it either. You live once, man. You gotta make good choices in your life. And following that type of lifestyle, it ain't good. It ain't right. Because you see in the after effects of what people become in that world, in that kingdom. This kingdom here, man, this kingdom is finished. A lot of people watch the news, you seeing what's going on in this world, wars. There ain't no rumors about no wars going on no more. Wars all over. War in Israel, Ukraine, Russia. And there's other wars going on. See, we at the final stretch. Final stretch, last moments, last days of this kingdom. America is basically, it's finished. Donald Trump is not going to deliver nobody. He ain't gonna change nothing. He ain't gonna bring this country out of the state it is in because it was bound to happen. Bound to happen. Everything has a time limit on it, just like this kingdom here. This kingdom been ruling for more than 400 years. We've been in this kingdom under these nations, been over us. Now it's time for them to fall, for our people to rise up, and that's what's going to happen. That's going to happen, believe me. I tell you. Oh yeah, no doubt. It's going to take place. Not when we want it to, but it's going to take place. It has to. There got to be an end to this evil kingdom. This damn kingdom here, oh, man, it's beyond evil, man. I ain't never seen the madness that I see coming out of this place. Nobody don't give a damn about America's policies but America. Things that you do here in other countries of the world, you would die. Like in Russia, they strict about being neutral when it comes to an alternative lifestyle. They ain't with all that noise. If you a zesty man in Russia, or zesty man in a woman, you could die behind that, literally. See, America, they promote it. They teaching this to the kids, children in schools now. Joey got two dads. Melissa got two mamas, man. I came up, I ain't hear none of that. I ain't hear none of that in school. They ain't teach that. They ain't teach that to us. This generation here is being corrupted. Okay? We was taught the basics. ABCs, arithmetic, math, science, English. We wasn't being taught all this alternative lifestyle living up in schools when I was coming up. Children really actually played as children. You don't go outside today. You go outside today, you see how many kids you see, children you see out there playing with each other, like stickball, basketball. I mean, well, maybe basketball. You go to the basketball courts to see it. I'm talking about like stickball, softball, roller skating, skateboarding. You don't see hardly none of that no more. Handball, stickball, bicycle riding. My generation, man, when the summertime, all the kids would be outside at a certain time in the morning, like maybe 11 o'clock, whatever, something like that. And we wouldn't go upstairs until it got dark. We'd be outside all day long playing. And our parents knew where we was at. They knew where we was at. We told them. We said, we going to be across the street in the park. Are we going to go to the movies? We going to go to the roller skating ring or the ice skating ring? Or we going to the pool or to the beach or whatever? We told them where we were going. And they knew where we was. And we would tell them what time we coming home. But now, nah. You look at the movie Holly Berry did, Monsters Ball. You know she had to have sex, real intercourse with that Billy Bob Thornton to get that Academy Award. I mean, they really, really, really did the do. For real. And that's why they gave her Academy Award, because she played a good little hoe for that year, 2002. She was a good little hoe. So she got rewarded with an Oscar. That's why they gave it to her. Because she had to humiliate herself to get that more award.
Let me make a point. And look at that. Let's look at that.
Go.
And here it is, right? Here you had Halle Berry, talented beyond talented. She didn't get the Academy Award for being Dorothy Dandridge, which was phenomenal, magnificent.
That was a television movie, though. That was a television movie.
Okay, well, be that as it may, they can still stretch it. It's still good. Well, how about Losing Isaiah? She didn't get it for that. Her performance in Losing Isaiah, opposite Jessica Lange, no. She gets it for what? Monsters Balls, more like it. I'm not being vulgar for the sake of being vulgar, but call it what it is. Porn. Just call it what it is. And Lee Daniels, this dude, man, he must have a strong hate for black women. Every movie he make, every movie that is associated with this dude, he comes up with the dirtiest, nastiest, stankiest image for black women. Precious. With Monique. Monique gets an Academy Award for being the dirtiest, grittiest black mama you ever seen in all cinema. That what she gets an award for. Same thing with Denzel Washington. Do you see the pattern where you see where I'm going with this? How Holly Zestywood and his deliberate emasculation and masculine and the desecrating of our image, male and female. Denzel Washington, no, he didn't get the Academy Award for training. No, not for Malcolm X, not for the Hurricane, his portrayal of Reuben Hurricane Carter. No, he didn't get it for John Q or Mo Better Blues even. He didn't get it for that. No, he got it for being a dirty, corrupt cop. That's what he
Courage
got it
Under
for.
Fire. Remember that movie? He was in
Yeah,
that.
he didn't get it for Courage Under Fire. No, he got it for what? Training Day. Huh? Do you see how this works? And that's what, excuse me, that's why when I showed you the video early on, why Zestywood? How? It became one of the main tentacles in destroying our image. You heard what Dr. Perry said. They had files on Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier. You see why they went the route some of them went. You see why. Okay? Shaka Khan, who was devout and a heavy financial contributor to the Black Panther Party. Roberta Flack. And so many Aretha Franklin, they were all at one time down for the cause and for the freedom, and then they went a certain route, and certain things happened in their lives that threw them off track. They were being studied and watched and followed. And as Yeshaya just said a minute ago, here it is, you see Denzel Washington now. And he been out here for years, and if he did do this, like, wow, it took him years to finally get this guy. But my point is, we now see where it stems from and where it originates from. Thank you for letting me just come back in real quick, Yeshaya. Go ahead, it's on you.
Nah, you can go.
Karima, by chance, do you have that Damon Wilson video? And if so, I sent you the last 5 numbers on the stream. I should have. Next time, I'll be more mindful on how to categorize them when I send them to you. But if you can find the one with Damon Wilson with the last 5 on the stream number being MPQ46Y. Okay, that's the best I. All right. If you can find that one, I want you to listen. I'm gonna have y'all listen to what Damon Wilson, better known as Lamont Sanford, I want y'all to hear what he had to say. You heard what Richard Pryor said about what Paul Mooney did, but now it wasn't just Paul Mooney, it was also Rich. There was another video I want to use, but it's just too colorful. Where Richard Pryor describes something that him and Paul Mooney did together. Okay,
Is
and
that
he
that
wasn't.
roast?
Yeah. You know the one, yeah. I showed one aspect of that, but this other one was just too vulgar and too descriptive, so I decided to leave that. I mean, the one we showed was just colorful enough, but the one, where he described him and Paul Mooney, going up, that one. Now, this explains why Richard Pryor was so drugged out and so jacked up, along with other Black celebrities in that time frame, who were caught up. Some of them they're now dead. You heard him say he ran with Yaphet Kotto. Now, if y'all don't know who Yaphet Kotto is, Yaphet Kotto was a very high-powered actor of the time. If you're familiar with the James Bond film Live and Let Die, the leader of that black organization that James
He
Bond
was
was
in the first
infiltrating.
Alien movie too.
Yeah, yeah, that brother, yeah, that Yaphet Kotto. That's right. That's who we're talking. That's who he was talking about. They were heavy in the game of black liberation and power and empowerment, and were compromised. But you want to know why some of the black stars that we knew of back in the Michael Jackson, yeah, all of them. There's a reason why, and when you do find that video, Karima, let me know with Demond Wilson. But Demond Wilson breaks it down. I used to remember as a child hearing talks. My mother and her friends and cousins and people that were, they say when you should be careful what you say around a child because they may be children at the time, but they still remember and retain what's been said, and as they get older and they can process it. I used to hear my mother and friends talking about Demond Wilson and his walking away from Sanford and Son and the things he was rumored to have said, but he did actually say. See, the thing is, how far are you willing to go? That's why the scriptures tell you, what gaineth a man the world if you lose your soul? From Hollywood to Zestywood.
Break down what the soul means.
Now, your soul, yes, it's talking about if you believe the Bible, if you believe the accounts of, your celestial body, which inhabits these terrestrial earthly bodies. That part, that aspect of your soul. But we have to go into the essence of what your soul is made up of from a godly standpoint. Your honor, your virtue, your dignity, your integrity, man. What good is you gaining the world and gaining certain things in it if you bent over? If you went out here and was, damn, man, humbling yourself before another man for money or for a part or for a record contract and record deal, putting on a dress and a man in a wig and makeup. What good is all that? When, as a woman, if you went out here and you get your record contract or your record deal, you out here doing your episode of Ghetto Gaggers. That's right. You think that, okay, look, I don't run from what I was into way back in the day. This goes way back. Okay, you think this stuff is just made up in a vacuum? Now, this is from a show, Fair Use, Comedy Hype. I want y'all to listen carefully what Demond Wilson said. He gonna back up what Richard Pryor said. Run the video, Karima.
In that fashion is because it seems very cliquish Hollywood from the outside looking in. Why didn't we see you in certain cliques? Why didn't I see you in Harlem Nights? Did you get that offer? Like, I feel like you would have been right along the
I just told you, 1982, I went full-time into the ministry. The Lord called me full-time into the ministry. I preached before thousands in Africa, thousands in China, in every city and hamlet in America. How old are you?
I'm 35.
I got to suit your age. That's why you don't know. I thought maybe you did your homework before you interviewed me. Hollywood, I've never had anything to do with any kind of clique. I'm not a cliquish person.
Right.
I had followers. When I grew up, I had the kids followed me. They followed my dress style. They followed the coolness, the way I walked. When I was in the war, I was a leader. I ain't never followed nobody. So these cliques, I could tell you things about people you named that the little Fruit Loops, they bend over Billies. You cannot make it to the top in that industry without selling your soul.
What do you know about the brother that just came forward, Christian Keys? You heard of this young actor? He just came forward and said that he was sexually harassed by a billionaire Hollywood person in power. There's assumptions of names. Is that something that happened in your industry? Like, were you ever, respectfully, I'm asking you as...
Again, here you go. My industry. It's not my industry. I'm a Broadway actor. I came to Hollywood. Wait a minute. You didn't do your homework. I'm going to tell you. I came to California. I did a film in Canada called The Dealing or the Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Bag Lost Blues. I went back to Broadway and I was at the Public Theater. Al Pacino was down there. The late Ron O'Neal was down there. You had a lot of actors that became famous that were down there working for Joe Papp in the Village at that theater. It's renowned. And Walter Mirisch from Mirisch Studio, from the Mirisch brothers, came to New York, and he cast me in my first major motion picture, The Organization, with Sidney Poitier. And that's why when I first came to California, we shot it in San Francisco, and people saw the dailies and they liked my work. And so I said, oh, you know what? I'm gonna move out there because I'm getting a lot of offers and I don't want to be doing this bi-coastal thing. So I moved to California and I did Mission Impossible and a couple of TV spots, and then All in the Family. And then I got a phone call from Bud Yorkin, and he asked me if I wanted to do a series with Red Fox. So I've never been a part of any of that nonsense. I don't respect those people. I don't care about that. I'm, you know, I told you I had connections. Nobody was gonna say nothing to me.
I get it. And it made me think when you just said kind of the comment about some of the people that we've known in the industry and what they might have to do to get to the top. Can you give me...
All of them. All of them. You name your biggest Black actors, you name your biggest white actors, you name your biggest female Latino actresses, they all have to do it.
Did you hear that? Do you hear it? Do you understand why? Again, you may have seen certain Black actors and actresses at one time, and some of them just completely disappeared, or they were the ones who blew up and became worldwide famous and money and paid, but yet they're miserable. Now you see why. You heard what he said? You name your biggest, your brightest Black, all of them. See, you think Jaguar Wright, when she was outing Alicia Keys, Mary J. Blige, you look, all of them. And to this day, notice that Jaguar Wright has not been sued. No one has sued her for libel, defamation, and slander of their name, both publicly and private. Orlando Brown, notice they call him crazy. Maybe he is out there, he's traumatized, but yet he's not been sued. And all the other actors that I named. Now I want you to take into consideration all these celebrities from the Disney era. Your Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, Orlando Brown, Raven Simone, and so many others who were Disney kids. Look at them now. Charlotte LaBeouf, if I'm saying his name correctly, you heard what Damon Wilson said, bend over Billies. All of them. This is not a joke. This is not a game. And this is why we're told in 1 John, the second chapter, verses 15 through 17. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Because let's face it, we all like nice things. We all want the best and the niceties in life. But to what extent are you willing to go? And you better give it careful consideration once you make that choice. See, you think back on when, because no matter how much material wealth you may acquire, none of these things mean anything when you think back on how you chose to get it. This is why you have certain celebrities who are out their minds now. You have certain who are rumored to have, they don't even have mirrors in their homes. They can't stand looking at themselves.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay, that's one of them. I think back on Lady Gaga. See, also, like Damon Wilson said, he said all of them, you name them, all of them. Quincy Jones, who just recently died, but yet it was Tupac Shakur. Late rapper Tupac Shakur, who outed him and broke down what Dr. Dre. Come on, man. We got to face the reality of what we're dealing with out here. And so when you tune in here to the conversation continue, you should be thankful. Not that we need validation or praise, but what we're showing you is what integrity does, and that it buys you. Okay? It buys you the ability to be bold, to say what needs to be said. You're not compromised. And this explains why, even within the social political structure, this thing is it's all over. But it starts in Zestywood first, Hollywood first. Because again, image is everything. And therefore, to seduce you to make things look good, they seduce you through the imagery. See, this goes into, again, what I said early on. But some people are so afraid of being poor. It's uncomfortable. It really is. But now you understand we're giving you the psychology of it all. Psy, P-S-Y, meaning of the mind. How does Satan attack you? How does Satan attack you? How does he get at you? Through your mind. You heard what in the Dr. Perry presentation, he said what the government does, it takes what it knows about you and your weaknesses with the intent on using it against you. This is why when the Lord urges us to come into him, control our appetites, live a moral life, this protects you from. It protects you from these satanic vibrations. See, again, I want to emphasize Ephesians 2:11. Excuse me, Ephesians 2:11, when the Lord said, put on the whole armor, his armor, so you can withstand the wiles, the trickery of the devil. Hey, even with the level of experience that I and Yeshua have, we're still human. We still battle like anybody else. And I'm going to show you. When we use 3 biblical patriarchs, right? We have King David. How did David fall? David fell through what? Satan manipulating his sensual senses and through booty or beauty. He used Bathsheba. David knew she was married, and more importantly, Bathsheba knew she was married, but yet, however he summoned her and she came, he fell right into it. An addiction to what? Beauty. Then power. There's some people out there, the Diddy's, the R. Kelly, they got caught up in the power zone, where they were made to compromise themselves. They made others compromise themselves. Victims begat victims. That's right. And then the last addiction, the money. And they only become addictions when you step outside how the Lord said to use beauty, to use power, and use money. And that's how it works, y'all. The manipulation and titillation of your sensual senses and operating on your fear. See, it take a lot of heart. With the Lord, you gotta wait. He wants you to wait. He may put you through certain things, and you gotta wait. Look, it can be a drag. It really can, but it's it's for our own good in some instances. As former world champion boxer Mike Tyson said, that he learned. Sometimes the Lord will give you certain things just to punish you, to show you that you should just wait it on him and chilled out and waited on him. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he meant. I get what he's saying. But again, it's that fear. Which go now I like to use, there are movies out here that again imitate life. They show you how it works. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan because George Lucas been dropping how this world works and how things work since we were kids. Some of us, we were born that time when the first Star Wars film dropped in around it started in 1976, but it took flight in 77, you know? But in the movie though, the central character being Darth Vader, known as Anakin Skywalker, why he fell to the dark, what is known the dark side. Okay, you had a clandestine group of people known as the Sith. Today they're known as the Illuminati. But they control all that we see here, in the dark side generates what? You falling to your lower self to empower yourself. That's right. And one of the head Sith, Darth Sidious, his catchphrase when he seduced Anakin Skywalker, when he become Darth Vader, his catchphrase was what? The dark side of the Force is a gateway to many abilities and pleasures that some consider unnatural. But that's the hook. See, with the devil's pie, you don't have to wait. He makes it easy for you to get it. He makes it seem great to have. All right? See, with the devil, he makes it where God is bad and he's good. Why you have to wait? Remember he told Eve and the God, you don't have to wait. Eat the apple. See, the Lord don't want you to have it because see, he know you'll be on his level. He don't want you to have that. But it is good for you. Oh, what? Think about DMX, the late great DMX. Do you think that Damien story was just a story? Huh? When he said Satan came to him, I'm paraphrasing. You're spiffy, you're sporty. Oh, you like shorty? Go ahead. It's your nature to be naughty. I'll give you this and that. I put you on trips across the seas and money and keys. You think DMX, he let it be known what the mistake he made. See, since when you want more, when the human creature wants more, and that drug, that addiction is now, it wants to be fed. But the thing is, no matter how high you get, You got to come down. And that's why when we read about the temptation of Christ, he had to fast 40 days and 40 nights to prepare himself for all that Satan was going to offer him. But think about that for a second. That whole 40 day and 40 night. The theory in fasting is this here. If you can control your carnal appetite, the appetite to feed and eat food, then if you can control that, then everything else should fall into play. But he had to fast 40 days and 40 nights. And then after he passed the test and went through being able to shoot the devil away, he had angels and stuff that had to come minister to the man, to Christ. Because that flesh, like Christ, this is why he warned all of us, our forefathers and mothers, and today, and we today. Be careful. And you better hope that you don't be tempted, because see, the spirit is willing. Oh, I can never do that. I can never do this. I won't do that. But the flesh is a hell of a drug. Fear. And the main thing that makes many people sell their soul, that fear of being poor. Which now goes into another Star Wars character, Darth Maul, who said, fear is my ally. Fear I use because fear attracts the fearful, the corrupt, those who are good. Through fear, I use my ability to take a person's essence, which is their soul, okay? And through fear, this is how we bring those who were Jedi into darkness. Fear. So now, this is why we have to be careful. Now, Kareem, oh my, we are really going into time. I don't know where you're at in y'all neck of the woods. If you're listening on other coasts, it may be early, but you know what? I gotta run this. While I'm talking, Kareem, I would like for you to there's a Walt Disney video. All right, Yeshidar, hold it down, brother, and come back in. And as you can see, we heard what Demond Wilson said, and give your take on that video and other things you got since you came up with this particular topic. I'm gonna go look for the video for Kareem to bring it in.
Demont Wilson was just dropping the knowledge of a world that he knew about. He knew the ins and outs of that world and what you had to do to make it to the top. But he wasn't going to compromise to make it to the top. That's why he said he was called. He had a calling in 1982, because he was doing a new show in 1981 called The New Odd Couple. Because it was an old odd couple with two white actors, Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, from 1970 to like 1977. And they wanted to revamp that show. So him and the brother that was on Barney Miller, they did The New Odd Couple. He was on for like one season. And then he said he was called into the ministry to preach the word of God. Because he knows in that world, man, you got to give up everything. You got to be willing to bow to get paid, to get a paycheck. He wasn't going to do that. Red Fox died broke. If anybody old enough that used to watch Sanford and Son, he always used to use that joke. I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth. This is the big one. Pretending he had a heart attack. Well, he had a TV show in the early 90s when he was on the set. and he had a heart attack for real. It really came true. See, when you look at somebody like Cat Williams said that Kevin Hart was a plant. He said as soon as he got to Hollywood, they was giving him roles, gave him his own TV show pilot. He was giving movies. Nobody never heard of this guy. Nobody heard of him. He said he was an industry plant. Kevin Hart said, you got to protect your brand a couple years ago. Singer, I think her name was Kelly Cox. She got her own talk show. And she said, yeah, they was offering me millions of dollars to do things that I wanted to not do. And he went like this. Shh, 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 shh. Yeah, we can't. Because he knows to make it to the top of the ladder in that industry, you got to do what you would normally not want to do to get paid, to make it. These people give up everything, their soul, which is their connection to God. Meaning you turn your back on God to worship Satan, Lucifer, the devil. And a lot of these people, you see them throwing up the horns and the all-seeing eye and the OK sign with the around your eye. That's all connected to Lucifer, the devil. And they know what they're doing. Because they paid individuals to distract us from really what the hell is going on in the world. That's why they make TV shows, movies, music, programs. They want you not to know what's going on in the world. They want you to be entertained. That's why they pay these athletes these extreme astronomical salaries to play basketball, football, baseball. These dudes get millions of dollars for playing kiddie games. It's all to keep you not focused on the truth. You know what I mean? That's why they do it. Because they want you not to be focused into what the Most High is doing. But they want you to be focused on fantasy. Want you to concentrate on fantasies, not reality. So he back. I'm gonna let him talk. I ain't got the energy tonight, y'all, but next telecast I will.
But you always got the energy, irregardless if you lay back in the cup. But Karima, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna resend the videos and make it easier. I just sent you one. If you see it, I'm gonna play that one instead of the Disney one. Because the Disney one is a little too long anyway. Play this next video, and I want y'all. Then I'm come back and see who's talking in the comment section, y'all. So stand by. Or while she's queuing it up. Let me see who's talking right now then. And when she's ready, we'll come back to that video. Let's see who's talking, y'all. Okay, I see. Oh, we got a nice little full house. So I'm gonna welcome we got Smashing Idol, Vicar Emerson World, 1968. Michigan Natural Living. Who else we got? Cooking with Billy. You wild cooking with Billy. Okay.
Cooking with Billy, cause it is quick. Cooking with Billy. Are you a chef?
Well, he got a recipe up in here. He funny right about now though. I can't get past that whole Diddy's in prison twerking for granola bars. But moving on. All right, let's see who's talking. Michigan Natural says it's hard to believe much of what he says, given he's a rat. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I know that Darth Perry was indeed a rat, but The Honorable Gil Noble, the late great Gil Noble, he went and had all of what he said proven and vetted by others. There were other agents, black agents, who didn't want to come, who didn't want to be seen. He decided to go out there and let it all hang out because he understood how America works. You know, and it's a phrase used by a brother who calls himself Professor Black Truth, that once America finishes using its tools, he breaks them. You heard? He knew, whether he's dead or alive, and I don't know, but he knew how it works. So he let it all hang out. And unfortunately, that rat, what he was saying is the truth. Okay? Let me see what else. Well, Cooking with Billy said, well, the Lord first quoted, or God first quoted what we call Deuteronomy to Adam and Eve first. And that's how we can also, interpret precept. He told Adam and Eve not to have anything to do with the Canaanites, neither okay, you're right. He was giving do's and don'ts, and don't give over to certain appetites way back when, Cooking with Billy. Let me see what's he's talking. You got Cooking with Billy says, yeah, some of them became demons in the next life. They become demons in the next life. And Michigan said this guy gave signs. That's right. Michigan, he's right. You're right. This guy gave signs to the organizations he infiltrated of who he is or was, but the signs were ignored. You're right. What's even more tragic, though, Michigan is this here. When Gil Noble put this broadcast out way back in 1978, unfortunately, our parents, grandparents, and anyone in that generation, they were asleep at the wheel and were not paying attention. He was letting them know what was coming in the next 50 or more years, and look at it now. Everything he said was going to happen. Everything he said the FBI was studying us on. What we read, what we watch, listen to, what drives us and promotes us politically would all be shattered. That's Dr. Perry indicated, to destroy a people, you have to do what? You have to study them. You have to know what makes them tick. And that what hurts more, Michigan, natural. That there were people who were listening to him and they didn't take him serious. Let me see what's he's talking. 1968. You said, okay, this is a conversation that you were having with Cooking with Billy. All right, let me see what else to see. Okay, you and Billy were going back and forth 1968. Okay, you said, and let me, our elders have deceived us again. It's up to us to save the nation. From 1958 to 1980, also known as Generation X. And that's why we are doing the best we can. I came out of Generation X. And this is why myself, Yeshaya Da, JT Raw, we're doing the best that we can. Sister Kareem, we're doing the best that we can to try to lay this on y'all. Because it's a crying shame. Okay? It's a crying shame. 1968 says, the movie Oh God, You Devil. George Burns is directly DNA blood related to Clive Davis. And I can see that. I believe it. Let's see. And who else is talking? Smashing Idol. Disclaimer. I'm not mad. We got it. Yeah, Smash. We have to use these disclaimers. We have to make sure we follow the laws and everything. And we want to make sure nobody can try to flag us because they will use any little small thing that they can use to come against us. We're gonna cover all our bases. Hey, Tashaka, what's going on, brother? How you doing? All right. Indigenous black men, if you're talking to me, you can't say all elders, fam. I'm not saying all elders, but I'm saying the overall majority of our elders did fall asleep. I being indigenous black man. Matter of fact, the Wayans brothers even brought that to the fore in the movie "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker," when Kenan Iron Wayans' character was asking Clarence Washington III, "What happened to the Black liberation? What happened to the brothers in the air, fist in the air, and we're gonna be free and we're gonna do things for ourselves?"
They got
And
jobs.
what did Clarence Washington say? The government came with jobs. They sucked them in with the jobs. But then, like they always do, what they give you, they took it right back in the process of time. Well, you could have had a career working a factory job or some other job. You had a career, no, the government saw that a lot of the contributors to Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, some of the others were the working class people. So they busted it up. That's why these jobs today aren't worth a damn. You got grown 50 or more year old men and women up here being offered $16 an hour to work. I mean, come on, man. All this was done deliberately. But now you know where it stemmed. So I'm not condemning all the elders, brother indigenous, but real talk, a lot of our elders fell asleep at the wheel and weren't paying attention when this man was dropping it. Okay? And some of them, and you got all these rats today that are still leading us to nowhere. Until until now. That is up until now. But now what we're doing is giving you why Zestywood and all these other organizations are what they are. Why you have Diddy? Why you have R. Kelly? Why you have so many of our women turned out, whored out, and used? Like I said, this stuff was in play while some of us were children and before some of us were born. But that's how determined these people are to win. This is the level that they're willing to go. Now, this video here, check out Joe Rogan and what he had to say. See, for some of y'all, oh, these guys are racial. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're an equal opportunity zone here. That's what we do. We come for anybody. And we'll use any opinion that is right and has its context. Drop it, Karima.
People that think outside of the norm say it in like whispered hushed tones. There's a certain ideology that's attached to that city, and it's not logical. It's a kooky, wacky, completely insulated left-wing view of the world, and they enforce it with an iron fist. And if you're not on that team, you don't get booked for things. You don't get picked for things. If you're someone who has conservative leanings, or you talk about, there's projects you're never going to get. You're never going to be involved with. People will they'll malign you, and without knowing you at all, be openly prejudiced about you. And so no one does it. So everyone who goes over there, who's just like desperately trying to make it, they're desperately trying to get in movies, they're desperately trying to get a recording deal, whatever it is, they're desperately trying to do. The last thing they want to do is do something and talk about something that's going to politically get them at odds with the people that run the studios. So no one does. Everybody just follows the same sort of wacky ideology that these people take from the universities. They go straight into working as a PA and straight into working for executives and producers, and all of those people are indoctrinated. They're all in this wild ass cult of weirdness. And then you have people that move there to try to make it. And these people are just always going on auditions. So they're always like, please choose me, please choose me. And no, they didn't choose me. And so you're trying to be friends to the people who choose people. You're trying to get them into parties, trying to introduce them to other people. You're trying to be around other famous people.
Getting anxiety.
So this person's been chosen. I got to be around the chosen person. We're going to go to the chosen person's party. Maybe we can get chosen. And so you get this like overwhelming anxiety that fills the fucking city.
Yeah.
And then now you have TikTokers and influencers and all these people that are just trying to do anything to get famous.
Yeah.
And that the reality stars and all that started it all off, and the fucking Real Housewives and all that wacky shit. You get away from that. You're like, oh, there's real people out there. There's real people. That's a storm of anxiety. Just a hurricane of confusion and Zoloft and wah! And everyone's losing their mind, and everyone's in therapy, and everyone's fucking nuts, and everyone's trans. It's out of touch.
Yeah.
It's just a crazed cult.
Yeah. It's like, you start out as a stand-up comedian and you are trying to, poke holes in the absurdity of the world, and you're saying things that are not being said on stage. And then, as you all of a sudden get brought into, and I'm sort of saying the every stand-up comedian, every outlier, every person that's doing something different, a punk rocker, a skateboarder. My goofy show was so out there when I was making it, and I was making it. I was rebelling against, in Canada, in my little public access show. I was kind of trying to rebel against what obviously seems like a formulaic mainstream way of thinking to create art, right? And then you move to Los Angeles because, well, the show got on MTV. I ended up moving to Los Angeles. Now I'm talking about myself now.
Trans.
All of a sudden being asked to go on, the show, the Tonight Show, Saturday Night Live. You're on these shows, and I was sort of a bit of a naive, moron, basically. Like in purposefully so. I would go on these shows, try to go nuts, right, and try to do something crazy, and just try to sort of almost disrupt the whole format of it, right. In those first couple of years, as a naive person who didn't understand how Hollywood worked, and I went on. I had a similar thing to our last appearance here on Jay Leno. I went on Jay Leno when I had a film coming out. I went on Jay Leno, and I came up with this bit. Let me roll the bar. They had remember they had the bar cart, the J bar. I'll roll it out on stage during the show, and then I'll do a shot of Jaeger with Jay. Jay doesn't. This is a crazy story. I probably told you this before, but I do a shot of Jaeger with Jay, and Jay doesn't drink. So he said, okay, well, I'll throw it over my shoulder. Right. So we go there, and I'm with my buddy who's, as a buddy who like pushes you further into the darkness, right? Like, you got a bad idea, and he pushes you further and makes it even worse.
Use the force.
Yeah. So we're in the green room getting ready. I'm in the green room with my buddy getting ready to go on the show. And he goes, do a shot now before you go on. I'm like, well, okay. So I do a shot now before I go on. Right. Get ready to go on. The bit's all approved with the Tonight Show. It's a gag. They know I'm doing real Jaeger, right? But it wasn't planned that I would do a shot before I go on. He goes, do another shot before you go on.
2 shots.
2 shots. Do another one. So now I walk out. I'm 3 shots in before the show even starts.
Oh boy, you're hammered.
Well,
pretty quickly.
And then I got out there and I did a shot, and the audience goes crazy and cheers, right? And so then I do another shot, and so I end up doing way too many shots, and it kind of ended up very similarly to our last conversation here, and it was actually pretty hilarious. It was one of those things where, it did get out of control. The next day, there was the New York Post. It had my picture and it said "dead drunk." It was just like one of those. And Jay called me at home the next day. You okay, man? You really kind of went to. But then, then that was sort of the beginning of me realizing, oh, you can't.
Why Tom Green went on Leno and deliberately got drunk.
Yeah. And in hindsight, I go, well, that was, kind of the outrageous kind of young version of me that I was doing on the show that made perfect sense to do that for a gag. But then, the naive kid in me didn't understand, well, a lot of people in Hollywood did not understand that and then got mad. And the movie studio.
People got mad at you?
Well, like the movie studio, I was on promoting a movie and they're like, oh, we don't want you to go any more talk shows for the movie. I'm like, I was like, well, what? It was a joke. It was a joke. And they're not interpreting it as a joke. They're interpreting it as me being kind of out of control. Which, yeah, exactly. But it was a manufactured out of control. I was out of control, but it was planned confusion, right? So, but that kind of subtlety didn't really kind of pass the smell test. So then you start to go, oh, geez, I better tone it down a little bit. Better tone it down a little bit because this, and you sort of end up falling into that feeling where all of a sudden you're, like you said, going to an audition or driving out to a meeting and.
Or just being a person that you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're hosting a late night talk show and all of a sudden you're this sort of wearing a tie, this odd button down.
And trying to make something that they like and fit into their mold and, try to get your own little creative shots off within that mold. But no longer are you actually being purely yourself, right? And
you can't.
And
it's not even possible.
And you end up living there for 20 years. And it becomes normal pretty quickly, right? And then you sort of slowly forget. Oh, this is just the way it works, I guess now. And then eventually, one day you go, I'm getting out of here. And I gotta say, when you moved here, it was a bit of a light bulb, I think, for me too. It was inspiring for me because I sort of realized, oh, look at that, Joe's leaving. Because you were always at the Comedy Store, all the clubs. It was a scene in LA, and you're thinking, wow, like Joe's just going to go do it on his own and just turn his back on this whole infrastructure here. And I was like, yeah, you can do that. You don't have to be here. And it was really inspiring, and it inspired a lot of people.
Okay, we're back. So as you can see, right, I think we've done more than enough. We've given you 2 hours and a half. So we want to make this viewer friendly. We're going to bring it to an end. But now you understand. I hope that what we've shown you tonight, that you understand why things are what they are, where it stemmed from. And now you have to ask yourself, how far are you willing to go? Now you have to make sure that you be careful what you watch, what you listen to, because it was government orchestrated. Monitor what your children are listening to, and monitor what your neighbors listening and listening to, and what they're watching as well. Excuse me. So as we close out, you have been thoroughly, again, informed and given a full dosage of Truthologly TV. Okay, yeah, this is not TV, but still, you know what I mean. This has been the Lion's Den. The conversation continues. As you can see, Yeshaya Dom, myself, and Karima, we're pretty much the EPMD, Old Rap School Group, EPMD. We're the EPMD of the Lion's Den, because we handle spiritual business. When EPMD was doing it, they had a theme: strictly business, out of business, business of a person. The whole thing was business. But we handle spiritual business here, the Lord, by way of the Lord. As we strive to be moral men and a moral sister and Karima, we strive to keep our demons at bay, to bring out our greater and angelic self. And we hope that you've enjoyed this listening pleasure. Because see, the thing is, another principle that we here on the Lion's Den operate we operate on a somebody knows something. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is this. Yeshua knows something. Karima knows something. I know something. You out there in Lions Den land, you know something. Somebody knows something. Even a little bit that you might think may be insignificant could be the key that makes a plane, train, automobile work. That little bit of something that you know. So what do you listeners and viewers have the pleasure of having when you come in here to the Lions Den? You have the absolute pleasure of listening to or reading the comments of a bunch of know-it-alls because somebody knows something. That is the distinct pleasure you have when you tune in here. And it's our pleasure to give you our gifts. If you don't believe in the Bible, as you can see, we have a way of talking about the Bible without it being a sermon, and we make it easy for y'all to be able to receive it. Considering all the hypocrites and everything. See, there was more we want to get into, but because your shy dog, his stamina is not up to snuff, we're giving you enough. We're giving you more than enough. And we hope that what you've given, what you've been that you received, you'll give freely. Share this show. Besides subscribe, share it. Karima, seventh answer. You got any parting shots? Oh no! Wait. I'm sorry, I didn't see this video. We gotta let Khalid Muhammad go. Let it run. Wait, I thought you were gonna let that Khalid Muhammad video run, Karima. If not, do you have any parting shots before we go? All right, Yeshua. Any parting shots to those who've been watching and listening?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it. I have to refresh it.
All right, then. So we're gonna extend it for a second, you all. We could not. We gotta let the late great brother and warrior Khalid Muhammad have his say on this show as well. Okay. And so stand by. Here we go.
Not playing to any cameras. They are the so-called Jews because we are the true Jews, the true Hebrews, the true and real Israelites whose birthright has been stolen by them. We are the true ones that fulfill Bible prophecy and scripture.
Isn't it a fact that you know by throwing out those terms you're guaranteed press coverage?
I'm not throwing out terms. I'm fighting age-old enemies, and I'm planting seeds in the minds and hearts of the youth and the masses of my people that we will not make the same mistakes again. As they say in the so-called Jewish community, never again, never again. I'm not playing to any camera.
And there you have it. And so, in closing, I'm going to give my parting shot. The Lion's Den. We always encourage you, don't just take our word for what we give you. You get up off your duff, your booty, and you go check things out for yourself. Okay? We want you to understand that you're studying to show yourself approved, as 2 Timothy 2:15, the Bible says. Study to show yourself approved, that's paramount. Isaiah 34:16, the Bible says, seek ye out the book of the Lord, which is the Bible. But also in other endeavors, seek you out and read. Okay? Don't just take our word for it. We want you to understand that we are not playing when we come through here. And so in closing, I want to thank again Vicar, Emerson, Michigan Natural Living, Cooking with Billy, 1968, Tashako Kelly, VJ, SMH 369, and Smashing Idol, and so many others out there listening, for participating and giving your insight, hindsight, and of course, Indigenous Black men. Hey, y'all. Thank you. for giving all your insights and hindsights and foresights on the panel, the discussion panel. And in closing, and in the spirit of Don Cornelius, on the Hebrew tip, we always say, Shalom, peace, Ahab, love, and Napash, soul. And we are up out of here, y'all. Bye.
Stop complaining how people move, just stop dealing with them. Fuck talking behind their back, just stop chilling with them. Being fake gon' make it worse, don't try to...
I want you and that young man to tie that knot. I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because he helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes.
It's the old
He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Gilligan get off the island.
Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to the children? Why you lying to the children? RIGHTEOUS. Man, you know I've been to bed. Man, they know contest. Yahuwah, he do the blitz. We will not see you tomorrow. Cause you cannot go to Thora. All the sons and all the daughters. Standing hard with big manotas. But my son, he made me Taurus. On that line, I'm still a Taurus. Karate kicking Chuck Norris, 4-5 on my waist. If he started, will not hesitate to get retarded. Oh Lordy, he ain't got a PowerPoint, he farted. He running to the hills like a Philistine. G-Hawk hitting Hamites with the guillotine. Situation turned up with the Ratchet team. JJ 7000 to the debate league. I know them haters gon' hate me, but he won't debate me. Pistol off safety. He respond, come wake me. If I don't get up, nigga shake me. If he don't show up, then he fake G. I touch down and make these nigga nuts hate me. Dear brother. Ballin' and crawling all the way from H-time. Let me get straight to the business. Man, them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children? Why you lying to them children? You gon' cry, you gon' get it. Me, I'm like a frog, nigga, ribbit. Of course, it's in the spirit. I just got the Porsche, she can steer it. Mito got the raw, Shaq and Willie. Lamborghini doors, you better not spill it. Mama's high, say I'm more than just a villain. Mama's cry, armed open wide for her children. Suicide, immortalized as the realest, Death by cut, black suicide. Let me get straight to the business. Got them lions in the building. Why you lying to them children?